Thank you for coming. I'm going to open our general session at 7:03. Would you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May 25th. Well, again, I want to welcome everybody. Before I get started with my comments, I want to remind everybody, if you're here to make public comment, there's a sign up at the table, on the end of the table, so you please sign up there. Also, we have 2 packets available for pickup. For information, we'll reference that later as well. I want to begin my council comments by first acknowledging Councillor Dave Chappelle. Most of us are aware, but Councillor Dave Chappelle died March 9th of pancreatic cancer. And so we are just very sorry, of course, to hear that, and send our love to his family. He served 3 different terms as city councilor and also served on our Coquille Police many years ago. And so, again, just want to acknowledge that. I was able to mention that at our last special meeting, but not at our general session. So thank you, Dave, and family, and just sending our prayers to the family. Also wanted to thank our city recorder, Elizabeth. She didn't know I was going to do this, but she coordinated a career day at the community center, and I was able to drop in while many of the businesses were still there, and all of them gave a great review, said it was a great event, great turnout, and all of the businesses and agencies loved how everything went. So thank you, Elizabeth, for that effort. Also, I want to thank our police department. I know your officers are working hard and have been working very hard, and I know it's been challenging as well during this season, and all the numerous arrests, and in many cases the same individuals that are disrupting things in our cities. So thank you to you and your officers. Appreciate it very much. And then finally, I just want to acknowledge that we're obviously navigating through challenging times right now in our city in regards to our city budget. I've made statements before on it, and obviously on social media. I want to remind everybody we do have some great packets with a lot of information, direct information from our previous city meetings. And also, even recently today, Q&A document that is getting out on our current situation with our city budget crisis. And there's some information there in regards to our ambulance, Coquille Ambulance Fire and Rescue. And so please make yourself available to that information. Don't leave here without it. And I think we're going to have that Q&A up on both packets up on the web, yeah, Forrest?
Yeah, they should be posted tomorrow.
Okay, they'll be up tomorrow. And for anybody joining us online. And I want to thank, really, there's been a handful of people that did reach out to me via email and ask for those packets, and I want to thank them for the initiative they're taking to be informed, and appreciate their efforts as well. And again, I want to say welcome, everybody. We are glad you're here. And I'm going to now turn it over to Councillor Marshall for comments.
What else can I say? Just thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. I think this is the most I've seen here since we pinned one of our officers. So thanks for showing up. Thank you to all of our volunteers, our fire and EMS. I've said it several times, our police department. Mm-hmm. We have some of the best people that protect and safeguard our lives each and every day. Yeah. I've had the pleasure of working with many of them. So just as we do navigate all this stuff, just remember, if you've got anything that can help out, your opinions are very welcome. Anything that is productive that people can come up with, please email us. Come into these meetings and voice your opinion, because it does matter. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Marshall. Councillor Corbis.
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Councillor Westrom.
I have nothing to add.
All right, thank you, councillors. We are now going to move on to consent calendar agenda item number 5.
I'll make the motion to accept the consent calendar as presented by staff.
Second.
All right, motion by Councillor Marshall to accept the consent calendar, seconded by Councillor Westrom. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, councillors. Staff reports, Mr. Norberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councilors. You have my report. It's pretty much about things that are going on in the council meeting today. Unless you have any questions, that's all I have.
Just a question, Mr. Norberg. You included the last, is that the League of Oregon Cities meeting that was hosted here in Coos County?
Yes, so that was the meeting they had up in Coos County as the president's meeting, and there was discussion about revenue reform in Oregon, and so that is included in the packet for the council. And then, our council packets are also, posted on our website, so people can read that information as well. Thanks.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Ms. Norberg, and we're going to move on to Director Ailing for Finance and HR.
I have nothing to add. Audits are proceeding smoothly. We have bank reconciliation, I think, up until, I want to say February of 2024 now. So they're crunching through that pretty fast. The auditor has asked for samples, so that means that audit should be close to maybe a month out. So we'll be happy about that. And then we've already started gathering materials for the next audit. So we're pushing hard on those.
How close are we to being completely caught up?
I would say probably, if we keep going at this pace, maybe a year.
Can we cut it to 9 months?
We can try. It's a definite goal.
Good, good.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Director Ailing. We're going to move on to Coquille Fire. Fire Chief Aaron.
Good evening. I have nothing to add to my report, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. And to all your firefighters, great job on those reports, knockdowns. Thank you. All right, Kenny Wells. Fire Marshal.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, honored members of the council. I have nothing to add to my report, but I would be happy to answer any questions.
No questions? All right. Thank you. And we're going to move on here now to our planning department. Haley Sheldon.
Hello. I don't have anything to add to my report. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
Do you have any cool grants that you want to share with people that is in the horizon? It's
Not right now. No. Mark does, though.
I do.
You have your...
I knew I'd get it out of somebody.
You were talking today about an electric vehicles grant.
Yeah, it's looking possible I could get level 2 chargers funded, a couple of ports funded fully through, actually a combination of ODOT and Pacific Power. But our next big grant we're going after is going to be the water system, the block grant to cover the other half of the water system projects, phase 1.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
And as far as the sidewalk grant, was that, when do we actually hear anything about that?
We don't know. ODOT has some uncertainty right now, and so we're just going to wait and see. I know we will eventually hear. We moved into the scoping phase, so ODOT is looking at our project in comparison to other projects, and this is the project to infill sidewalk on Central. So we just wait.
Yeah, just as a reminder, that's from 10th Street down to, right around here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, City
Yeah.
Hall.
Yeah, so, and on this side of the street, so where there's that break in sidewalk at the light here on Central, and then there's no sidewalk all the way till right about in front of City Hall. We're trying to fill in that section of sidewalk with this grant, and we have a pretty good chance. If we don't get this one, there are other ones that we apply for. So we've applied now, this is the second, and we'll keep trying.
Great, thank you. Anything else? Thank you, Haley. She makes fantastic banana chocolate muffins. I had one this morning, so just a shout out to Haley there. Director Denning for Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Nothing to add to my report, but did want to highlight and thank once again Rotary for their donation to the park project, the playground project we have going on. That did become official. I think we've received their money. The benches that they requested have been ordered, and actually, in fact, that equipment should be here in about a week. So it's going to sit around a little while until the ground conditions allow us to get that groundwork done out there. But that project is moving on, and thanks again to Rotary.
This picture that you've shown in here where the erosion's at, is that gonna affect, can't really tell it, but it looks like it's kinda close where we were gonna put the playground at. Is that, we have to do any additional work in there, or?
Yeah, no, it's actually well above that. It's just below the bridge. You know, the next thing that could be jeopardized would be the ramp. But we do have quite a bit of armoring and protection upstream of that. But it's just something to keep an eye on and to consider that scouring.
Okay, it looks like we lost a little bit there. Thank you.
And can you remind me, Mark, that was like a $240,000 grant for that
Yes.
park, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So realistically, can we see kids and families in there playing by end of summer? Maybe?
Yeah, that's what I hope. You know, we did, and thank you once again for talking with Knife River. You know, they look like, you know, they just requested that we let them know a little bit ahead of time, make sure they have the block on hand. But once ground conditions allow, and depending on what else is going on around the city, because we are doing a lot of that work ourselves, that, you know, I hope to be doing a lot of work on it in June and July. And yes, hopefully by the end of summer, we'll
Cool.
have that
That's
ribbon cutting.
exciting.
Any questions? All right, thank you, Director Denning. Director Lucas, Public Library.
Hello, everyone. I would like to highlight our adult programs that started this month. Every Friday at 11, we have a new adult program at the library, and love to see everybody come by.
And since we're on a grant kick today, remind me, I think you're just over $750,000 in grants for library?
751.
Thank you.
Good job, Director Lucas. That's good to hear.
Thank you.
How's the new building going?
It's amazing. It's great. We just got the stereo system finally set up, and everything's working really well. We had our first movie on Friday, and so we're going to be having at least monthly movies, and it fills up the whole screen, sound bar.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you, Director Lucas. Chief Doyle, Cloquet Police.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to add to my report. However, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you or the council might have.
I just want to highlight, in case somebody hasn't read the report, shout out to Walmart for the $5,000 grant.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Very generous grant, and we're very thankful.
Chief, any leads on vandalism down at Fifth Street Park?
We have identified 2 potential suspects, and Officer Rowe, when I came down for the council meeting, was headed to contact them and continue that investigation. So it is ongoing, but fruitful at this point.
Thank you.
And would you give our thanks to Officer Mayo for completing his advanced roadside impairment driving? I work the highway myself, except for I don't have a badge or a gun. I just got a vest, and I can kind of run fast, not as fast as I used to. But it is amazing the amount of road fatalities here. About 27 of them in just our little area last year. A lot of people don't realize that, and a lot of them are impaired. So for us to be taking that extra step and for him to step up and do that, please thank him, please, for it.
I most certainly will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Officer Rowe.
Yeah.
He's out in the hall.
I thought he was standing out there.
He was. Does he have the baby with him?
He's got a quick exit strategy.
Any other questions? All right, thanks, Chief. All right, I think we got staff reports. We are now moving on to public participation, public comments. And the public comment period is intended for the public to share ideas, concerns, comments. It's not intended for an interactive discussion with council, and so you will have 3 minutes. Address the mayor and the mayor only. I don't ever recall ever making comment to public comments, and so it's our job to listen, take notes, and staff does the same as well, and I always offer to follow up with anybody afterwards, either this evening or at a later time. We can schedule an appointment. During public comments, individuals shall not engage in personal attacks and shall at all times, while in session, conduct themselves in an appropriate manner. And we've never had that it's always been great, so appreciate it. Love having public comment. Do we have people signed up?
There's two, Mr. Mayor. The first is Lee Taft.
Great. Mr. Taft, come on up.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, and I follow Lee Taft's model right here. He's coming right on up. Thank you.
Well, I only got 3 minutes, and you know I talk. But anyway, Mayor, Council, so forth, I just want to say thank you. I just want to give you a quick update. You know, you folks, the city of Coquille has been a sponsor of the Coquille High School sports broadcast program that we created 2 years ago now. And I just wanted to give you an update quickly and say thank you very, very much. We actually covered 78 ball games this year between volleyball, football, and boys and girls basketball, home and away games. I think we missed 2 games altogether. We did miss the 2 state games that the girls had in the basketball because unfortunately there was a fire up by the tower and all of our equipment was engulfed in that fire. We just got in the equipment and actually I talked to Tony on Friday, so we just got all the equipment in, so now we're getting together with Sean, the IT gentleman, you know, Wirebaugh, with the school district, and we're going to get everything programmed in, so I'm hoping within a week or 2 at the very latest, we will be back up on the air again. Of course, we're already preparing for next season, and so we're also working on trying to stream the station 24/7. But I just basically want to let you know what we were able to do this year and say thank you very, very much, and hopefully we'll be able to continue with you next year because we continue to, you know, to call those sports. We also did, again, thank you, we were able to raise our scholarships for each of the student athletes, an additional $100 for each sport. So they now will receive here at graduation $600 per student athlete. We also had Emmy Wirebaugh come in and learn how to do broadcasting, who's a senior. She has decided she wants to carry that on after she graduates. So we were able to put in a $500 scholarship for her. So obviously, thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you, Lee.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Taft.
Next is Bobby Glidden.
Oh. Oh, good. Well,
So, here, okay, it's my opportunity to tell you all that I know you have worked really, really hard on this problem and to get it solved, and I am really appreciative. I know none of this is easy. I also want to do a shout out to our police department. I have been walking with the dog that I had adopted for about 10 months, and it's always nice to find them out there when you're a single female out there by yourself. And there was a couple times it felt a little shady out there, and here comes the patrol car. So since I've been really intent to come up here and talk to you, that's all I got.
all right, great.
Thank you.
Bobby, thank you.
Leslie Johnson?
Leslie Johnson, come on up.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the time. I wanted to comment on a couple of things. I don't know, I know that there has been some discussion in regards to the investigation of what's going on at the Fifth Street Park. That is such a popular location. It's centralized. The children need a place that's safe. People need a place to where they can walk their dog or just walk. And even though it's so close to our sheriff's department and sort of here, I don't know what the resolution is going to be in regards to how they're going to handle being able to cover that area with surveillance. And that's my concern. I don't know if we have any kind of budget to do that. And I personally would like to say that if anybody would like to contact me in regards to helping with that issue, perhaps we can even put together a group of retirees who would be willing to go out there and just sit and watch. But we do need to do something to stop what's going on there, which has been going on for quite a long time. So I just wanted to make that comment. I also wanted to make the comment that just thank you for the effort that you're putting in regards to what we're facing financially and in every other way. I think that Coke Hill has been a little bit too much asleep in regards to what's going on around here. What's happening in this country is also happening on a very microcosm basis, you might say, here. And we need to pay attention. I hope more people will now start to realize that nobody can carry this themselves. And we all need to work together. So I wanted to say that. And the third thing was, what else did I put on there? I said the budget. And that was it? Okay. Basically that I personally am so appreciative of what I'm seeing going around here. In May, I'll be living here 16 years as a homeowner, and I've always hoped that certain things would happen, and I'm starting to see some of that, but at the same time, we've been hit with some real obstacles now, and I hope we can overcome them. One of them, which has nothing to do with the city, it has everything to do with the county, and that is our situation with the jail and the people that are being like a revolving door, coming in, getting booked, leaving, and then becoming a real nuisance in the area. And I live off of Shelley, so I'm very close to this, and I see what's happening, and I see how it's affecting our business owners too. And so I just wanted to make a comment. Thank you very much, Chief, in regards to our local police, and hope that it won't be a problem to where it continues to, because they're harassing people on the street. Okay, so I said my piece.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. If I encourage you, and if you're comfortable to, after the meeting or anytime, leave your number, and be happy to follow up with you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody else signed up? Okay, thank you, everybody. We are now going to move on to agenda item number 8. Norberg, request to lease property.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, so as you recall, this came up at a previous council meeting, a request to actually purchase part of the parking lot area that's owned by the city, adjacent to the boiler over on the south side, if you will, by the highway. And then, there was some back and forth, and then council said that honestly they would prefer to lease the space. And then the proposal that came back was for a far more significant area, and you'll see that there's a diagram in your packet. And, so really some decisions the council needs to make and have some discussion, and I'm not sure if we got a representative. Oh, yeah, oh, great. Okay, so
Can you be, she can come up. Yeah, do you want to come up? In case there's any questions, or somebody come up if there's questions that we need to ask. We promise we won't put you on the spot. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you.
And what was your name?
Gabrielle Colton.
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Council, do you have any questions? No.
I'll start this ball rolling. The proposal that you brought to us tonight is a little more extravagant than what the original plan was. I know we've talked outside of the building. I personally feel that the proposal as brought tonight with the great big expansion is not feasible for the city to accept. But I think the council would probably agree with me that your current footprint on the back of the broiler that's already there should be moved on and brought up to code and compliance. So I don't think there's going to be an issue with that. The one thing on your new proposal that kind of, which I think we talked about, you're bringing another business into the fact. And I think they need to have some say in what this new proposal is. I love the idea of accumulating the trash into one central area. I apologize on behalf of the city that you guys are having to clean your own city-owned parking lot.
Yes, that's a big concern.
But I feel that your existing covered area should be the one that we focus on tonight. And I would like to make a motion that we reject the proposal as presented, but allow for the existing footprint to be brought up to standards.
May I explain a little why
Yep.
we expanded it? So Leslie also owns the building next to the broiler closest to Fraser's in the
Colleen's.
corner. So we also have a ramp there that eventually we want to redo because that also is not up to code. And that is not part of her previous husband's easement. So that was part of it, as well as we would really like to enclose the communal grease trap that we share with Fraser's and the dumpsters. I mean, you can see it from the highway. It looks gross. Houseless people come and dig through it, and oftentimes we pay our employees to clean up the whole parking lot. We just had a grease spill on Saturday from Fraser's and had to pay labor and the materials to clean that up and had to cone it off so that nobody slipped on it and got injured. But yeah, we'd also like to expand the porch slightly towards the old Prudential building so that we can avoid locates on the oil tank that are underneath the current porch. So that was also part of the reasoning on expanding that section surrounding the porch as well.
Have you checked with Northwest Natural, because you're going to be working right over the top of a gas line?
Not yet. We're kind of waiting to get this approved because we can't do anything until we have a new agreement under the owner's name. It's not being used anymore, but we still have to locate it and make sure we don't damage it or anything.
Well, no, you've got a gas meter there.
Yes.
Have you
for that
talked
tank.
with
Not yet.
Northwest Natural? Because you're going to be working right over the top of a gas
yeah.
meter.
And they seem pretty simple. We just have to have the right enclosure surrounding that, and it has to be accessible, and it has to be locked, and so they can enter it and refill it. But yeah, we recently redid the enclosure on that, and they were acceptable of what we did.
So basically, you want approximately another 9 feet?
And also, we're also working with an architect, and he suggested if we only got half of the parking lot split in half towards Fraser's, it would impair the turn radius for those parking spots in the corner, which nobody parks there anyways. But from a technical standpoint, we wouldn't want to cut the parking lot in half right there, because if we did put something there, no one could park there. So he suggested asking for the whole length from our building to Napa, make it simpler, and so it didn't impair that corner in any way.
So, just a reminder, we can keep going with the conversation. There is a motion on the table. And I guess the comment I want to make is, and I'm not sure that if I make this statement, I'm not sure if it's what the motion was made by Jay Westrom, but I'm more comfortable keeping the lease area as it stands, because that is then, and then you're allowed to work within that lease. Then take that whole other additional third or more of that parking lot becomes problematic for the city. I would rather the city maintain city parking. All of our local businesses struggle with parking. So if we do better with wayfinding and actually do a better job with that parking lot, we could actually gain some parking spaces. And certainly you talk to Public Works, get it added on street sweeping. And then I guess, I mean, I would want to encourage you to work with your neighbors. If there's a viable plan to help improve some of that infrastructure with the grease traps and garbage, that might be a more viable way to go. And that, by the way, doesn't at all discourage your future outdoor activities. So if you decide you'd like to use half of that parking lot for an event, which you stated, that's an easy process. That's just notify the city. That's
Right.
pretty straightforward, pretty easy. And so that's where I'm landing. I know Mr. Westrom said on the motion on the, I got to remember how he stated the motion, but the motion was to approve the existing area footprint for the upgrades,
So that would be the original.
the original lease agreement.
So it was an easement held by her deceased husband. So is that the area you're talking about?
Yeah, so is that, it's an easement,
It
Mr.
was an
Norwood?
easement. We'd like to lease it though, 'cause it would be a lot easier.
Right, so I think the proposal here, if you look at the original, roughly 25 by 25, which is a little larger than the previous easement, but makes sense for, you know, fixing the, you know, repairing and remodeling that deck feature with the ramp.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. So the new, what's the proposal is that slightly expanded area, which could give you room to switch back the handicap ramp and
Yeah.
do some improvements
I
there.
think the
Yeah.
slight expansion includes the handicap ramp, and maybe it didn't before, if
Well-
I'm reading it correctly. It's hard to tell.
Right, so basically if we go, so right now, year 25, which it's not quite 25, and then this one is close to it, giving you this extra,
Right, okay.
you're okay with giving, so basically, they're gonna go from where the ramp is currently all the way back to the Prudential building.
And that extra
And then-
space would give us a room to avoid the oil tank, from what I understand.
Which is what you're
which should-
proposing now.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so basically, that's what my motion is, and then the one thing I should throw, okay.
Let's start there.
Okay.
Jake.
All right, so I'm going to withdraw the motion that I previously made, and the new motion would be the 25 by 25 lease agreement on terms that you and the city manager came to an agreement on, that were amicable to both of you?
Yes.
Amen.
I'll second that.
Right. Motion by Councilor Western, what he said, and that's on the record, and seconded by Councilor Marshall. Any other questions?
I just have one more thing, thank you.
Okay.
So as far as the grease trap and dumpsters go remaining on the city's property, shall we communicate with you all when we need it to be serviced, cleaned up? I'm unclear on what is our responsibility and what the city should be
So I would recommend, when you work on that lease agreement, you can talk with Mr. Norberg, and maybe that he'll end up referring to Mr. Denning to find out whose responsibility is what on that.
Okay.
Yep.
We want it to look nicer. It's,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gabriel.
All right, the motion's still on the floor. Any other discussion?
Vote on it yet?
All those in favor? Aye. There you go. Thank you for being here.
Give me a headache.
I tried to make it simple, and then I got twisted.
That's okay, Jay.
All right, next agenda item is number 9, consideration of council goals, fiscal year 25-26. And that's just a recap from our previous work session, council goals. I'll go ahead and make the motion. I guess the motion is to adopt our city council prioritized goals fiscal year 25-26.
Second.
All right, motion by Mayor Flaherty, seconded by Councilor Westrom. Any other discussion? And if everybody wants to know what that is, it's in the packet, and we'd be happy to get that for you as well. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, moving on to budget committee applicants. And so we have actually 5 spots left, correct? We have 2 applicants in front of us. And the good news is our applicants, who I believe are here, Mr. Sanborn and Mr. Root. Oh, Sean isn't here. Oh, okay, I apologize. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve Mr. Sanborn and Mr. Root for our budget committee.
I'll second.
Any other questions or discussion? And just for discussion's sake, to be on the budget committee, you have to actually live within city limits. And so that is a requirement. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. And Mr. Root, I know you're here, Mr. Sanborn, online, and you'll be added and be getting packets when everybody else gets packets. And you will be made aware. In fact, Mr. Norberg will email you a budget committee calendar so that you know when the meetings are already scheduled. And of course, as always, and everybody can stay aware that those meetings are public as well.
And I believe there are some applications on that table with all the paperwork, so anyone that would like to serve on the budget committee, or any committee,
Which one?
make sure you take one.
Yes. Yeah. It was confirmed by city.
Take 2. Take one to a friend.
All righty. Agenda item number 11, consider vacation of park at Jefferson School site. Haley Sheldon.
This needs to be a big thing up.
Hello. This is a conversation that we've had before. We've had public hearings about this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. The old Jefferson School property, we know where that is. It's been preliminarily approved by the Planning Commission for subdivision into 11 lots, right? There's city-owned parkland below that property. As part of the subdivision approval, the Planning Commission has tentatively approved the reconfiguration of that park. So it would change shape in order to fit in those subdivision lots, and you can see the new shape in your packet. In order to change the shape, the city has to go through a technical process called a vacation, and it's not fun like a vacation. You first take away you say, this property isn't park anymore. This is a private parcel of land. And then after you do that, you can reconfigure the park and then rededicate the newly configured parkland to the city, right? And it's new. So this is a technical process, and as part of that, the council is asked to make a motion, or it's actually an order that you will be asking the mayor to sign. And I've put some sample motions in your packet in that action sheet. So let me know if you have any questions.
I just want to know if anyone from the public has any questions on, just making sure that they, okay, all right, okay.
Yeah, just if everybody's joining us and wasn't aware, out on that lot, I think they've plotted 11 new homes, correct?
Right.
And then the new smaller park area, once we take care of this. I'm signing it, can I make it, or does somebody else want to?
Mr. Mayor, I move to order the approximately .64 acre public park at the northeast intersection of 17th and Hemlock Street, commonly referred as the Jefferson School Park, vacated.
Second then.
Second.
All right, the motion as an order by Councilor Westrom, seconded by Councilor Marshall. Any other discussion, questions? All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. Thank you, Haley, and to the planning department. They're the ones that helped this as well, correct? Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
they've been part of the process.
We'll prepare the order for your signature, and then we will file the order with the county. Park will be vacated, and then we'll come back to you with the dedication.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Haley, do we have any idea when shovel is going to hit dirt up there? With any of the, with any of the...
It just, if I was betting, June, July. Mark, would you say that to just first start doing ground disturbance, to put in the public improvements, to put in the street and the water line and sewer line that they need to do, and then once they've done all that, then they can start building houses?
Looking at where they're at in the process, I think June, maybe by the end of June, we can expect to see some.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to move on to item number 12, Adopt a Park Program. Mr. Denning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to be real candid with you guys about this one right up front, and I was skeptical of this when it was brought to me by the Parks Committee, but I think that the Parks Committee and Tina Hallmark in particular have done a really good job putting together a workable program. A few reasons for that. First of all, minimal cost to the city. Really, our out-of-pocket on this is going to be a cost of a few signs at the parks. Also, the program coordinator, who you'll see referenced in these documents. So that, basically the administrative side of this program, that's going to be staffed as a volunteer volunteer position from the Parks Committee. They even have their own website set up that they can deal with, not a city website. We'll have a link from the city website, but it'll be maintained by this volunteer in this program. And benefits I'm looking at are, largely just getting to the small, improvement projects, beautification projects that just don't come up high enough on our priority list, and things that we recognize could be done. And citizens, come out and see opportunities here to make our parks a little bit nicer, add some features, do some, minor repairs to older infrastructure. And, depending on the volunteers, they could even be extra hands, we call, if Public Works has a project out there in their park that they've adopted. Want to point out, it is marked up as such, but this is a draft. We are vetting the forms and our process through HR and insurance. I've already gotten feedback from Michelle and from insurance. So we'll incorporate those, that feedback into our documents. Also, some difference of opinion on Parks Committee on what the minimum amount of hours should be required each quarter. So we'll get that ironed out, we hope, at this next meeting, and would like to put the program in place after that. So presenting it here to give you guys an opportunity to comment, ask questions, any concerns.
I think it's brilliant.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Tina, and our Parks Committee, and thank you, Mark, for your candidness, but to decide to champion it. I love it. I've already got an idea of somebody who probably want to champion a park, so I think it's brilliant, and I appreciate it, and I hope our citizens will champion our parks and get involved. Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Great. Go team.
Thank you.
Are any other towns in the county have anything like this?
Tina?
I don't know anything in Coos County, but we looked to Florence for some of our guide in creating the documents and program. But I don't know anything in our county.
Cool. Yeah, we can be a first at something.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, thank you. And please express our thanks to the Parks Committee as well. Thank you, Tina. No, it was just for our feedback, so just go team.
Just a presentation.
All right, we're going to move on to
Library board.
where am I?
Library.
Agenda item number 13, consider library board applicants. We have 2 applicants. Is Mr. Stephen Crouch here? We have Mr. Stephen Crouch, and just so you all know, in front of the counselors, we have 2 applications for library board. Stephen Crouch and Barbara Steele. Is Barbara Steele here? That's okay, they don't need to be. Both have applied, we've read it. I'm just going to say, counselors, pass me a note who you'd like to appoint. And so just so you all know, for the budget committee, we had multiple openings, so we accepted the applicants. For the library, it's only 1 position that's open. How long is that term, Director Lucas?
It's only for 1 year. It's filling a position that just was vacated, and then it'll be eligible for 2 more terms.
And your board meetings are public as well. When do you guys meet?
We meet the 3rd Thursday at noon at the library.
And I want to say special thanks to the library board and the Friends of the Library, because both groups were instrumental in all the work that went into the library and the library planning. And so thank you for that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion based on the votes. I'm going to make a motion to appoint Barbara Steele to the Public Library Board. I still need a second from one of you.
Come on,
All right. Motion by Mayor Flaherty to appoint Barbara Steele, seconded by Councilor Corbus. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Stephen Crouch, if you're watching later or in catching up. And please stay involved and connected, and maybe even check in with Friends of the Library as well.
Thank you.
All right, agenda item number 14, resolution adding a safe deposit box at First Community Credit Union. It's pretty self-explanatory there in the packet. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to adopt Resolution 04-2025, adding a safe deposit box at First Community Credit Union.
Second.
You go ahead and state it now.
Okay.
You go ahead and state it.
I'll recuse myself from voting.
That doesn't give you a
Councilor Corbus is recusing herself because she works at First Community Credit Union. The motion on the table is Mayor Flaherty adopting this resolution, seconded by Western. We still have a quorum, and so we can still go with a vote, correct?
I don't think so, Mr. Mayor. So you've got currently 6 council members, and you have 4 here, which is fine. So 3 is not a quorum.
Okay, so I guess the question for our city attorney then, is it necessary for Councilor Corbus to recuse herself in this matter?
That's your judgment, so that has to be accepted. Yes. Yeah.
Are you making any money off of this?
No. I wouldn't be involved in the transaction at all.
It's okay, Mr. Mayor. We
That's
can,
a better course to follow.
Yeah, yeah.
It can come up another.
yeah, we'll have it on the next agenda.
I agree. So it's tabled at this moment to have a quorum, which reminds me, and normally I do announce this, Councilor Waddington is out of town, and Councilor Cooper's at work, I believe, so, or out of town. So
Do you want to back up and table that then?
yeah, so we are going to back up. That falls flat without a vote, a quorum, and we will table that to next month.
What are we going to put in it anyway? It sounds awful small.
You should
Right.
quit your job so you can.
We are now at go to the order. Anything for go to the order, councilors? Yeah.
I believe that the council is going to announce a vacant council seat this evening and take applications until May 25th.
Thank you. Yes, I apologize. When I announced Councilor Chappelle, I meant to do that. So we do have a vacancy on our city council. So how that works is we open application for a council seat. Those where a council seat must live inside the city limits. There is an application process. The applicants are interviewed at a public meeting by this council team. And so we're going to open it up to when? May 25th. So we will close applications at the end of the day, May 25th, for those applicants to be considered at our June meeting. And just so everybody knows, unless there's a holiday, our council meetings are always the first Monday of the month.
And that's the same application that's sitting back there on the table, I believe.
We'll check.
Ready, thank you. Anything else for go to the order? I guess I want to mention too, just so people are aware, council is still working out a calendar schedule for a town hall meeting. And so it's our full intent to have one. I think it's going to be in early May, but we're still working on that. We'll definitely get that out and post it out once that's settled. And then I guess the other go to the order is April 19th, two senators, Senator Brock Smith, and another senator, I apologize, Senator, for forgetting your name. August 19th, they're holding a mid-legislature term town hall meetings across the county. On Saturday, August 19th, they'll be in Coquille, the Coquille Community Building at 10 a.m. And then moving on to Gold Beach after they're done with us. So just letting you know that's available to the public as well. Voice.
Was it Kurt Boyce?
Voice.
Okay.
Voice, right? Yeah. Senator Boyce, I apologize for forgetting your name. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close our regular session at 7:55, and I'm going to turn it over to our URA president for our URA meeting.
I will call the URA meeting to order at 7:56. All right, first item up, consent calendar, meeting minutes from 3/3/2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, discussion of Central Boulevard striping project.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me here again. Hopefully, all of you have in front of you the drawings that I submitted for your URA packets. Yeah?
Do you want to announce who you are and what
Yes.
you're doing?
Hi, good evening. Stephanie Martell with HG Architects. Tonight I'll be presenting a preliminary plan for the restriping of Central Boulevard. This plan is phase 1 in the streetscape project at Central Boulevard, which would help realign and reconfigure the way traffic flows along Central. This is based upon the traffic engineer's studies that we did approximately 2.5, 3 years ago, and have incorporated comments from Public Works, from URA, as well as the public comments that have happened over the last several years at various public meetings. So in front of you, you have the drawings, and I thought maybe we could just kind of go block by block and kind of talk about what the improvements are. I think some main things to highlight is, like I just said, we worked with Mark and Public Works and incorporated his comments, so Mark is aware of kind of our process through this, as well as the city manager. We also have submitted this plan to the county roadmaster, Paul Slater, for his review and comment. We did that about a month ago, and after the big storm event, Paul emailed us back politely and said that he didn't have time to review it in the time frame that we had allowed for this meeting. So we hope to receive his comments back, and Mark and I will work together with our team on incorporating any concerns that he may have. So what you're looking at in front of you, and I apologize that the screen isn't available for the public to see tonight, but what you're looking at is we are proposing a four-way stop at 3rd Street. This would allow for ease of pedestrian crossing with continental striping there. So that's something new that will happen there. There's already a two-way stop, but as you know, as you are, like let's say you're leaving the library and you're turning right onto Central off of 3rd Street, if there is any parking that's occurring in front of the new veterinary clinic or FARS, it is very difficult to pull out in front of that, to pull out and get onto Central.
There we go.
But hey, that kind of works. Yeah, that's not bad.
And I wanted to add, Chief Farron brought it up at the last meeting, and the safety committee has also been bringing it up. And certainly for a long time, our Coke Hill Fire and Rescue, that corner needed a light or some kind of four-way stop for all kinds of safety reasons.
Yes.
Besides you.
The other thing that you will notice is that the turn lane, so if we recall right now, and you can kind of vaguely see it on this aerial photo, is that we have a left turn lane, and this restriping is the original striping plan of when Central was a highway. So this is how it has always been, and so we are proposing some minor yet significant changes to allow for more pedestrian-friendly circulation along Central. So what you're looking at is the center turn lane will be 12 feet wide, and then from there will be 12-foot wide travel lanes on either side. So instead of having 2 double lanes, right, or 4 lanes of traffic in a central turn lane, we're now necking it down to having 1 lane of traffic and then a center shared turn lane. That allows us to have, in this block radius, it would allow us to have a 5-foot wide buffer zone, and then from the existing face of sidewalk curb to that edge of buffer zone is about 8.5 feet on one side and 9.5 on the other side. And if you recall our future plans for the streetscape project on Central, we have this multi-use path, which is about 10 feet wide, and then we have that stormwater swale with tree-lined boulevard, right? And so this would allow those improvements to happen in future years, but the striping would remain the same. So your constituents would have striping that they get used to now before those improvements go in the future. And so that bike lane, that really eliminates any of the bicycle use that are on those really narrow, I mean, the sidewalks right now are 4.5 feet. And so, and they're riddled with, you know, existing poles and whatnot. So pedestrians are having to navigate that, as well as having bicycles right along the sidewalk most of the time. And so this pulls those bicycles off the sidewalk, creates a really nice buffer. So if kids are riding their bikes through town, there's a buffer between them and the lane of traffic. And so as we move down to 4th Street, 4th Street is just going to have, you know, those rapid pedestrian crossing lights. So you push to cross, and then the rapid light flashes. We are not proposing that improvement go in during the striping phase. That will come in the later phase, but in this phase, we want to still stripe the pedestrian crossing there. We have noted that where signs need to be removed, Public Works has said that they will be able to go out, remove the signs, replace signs as needed for the project, but we wanted to note that on the plans. So if you turn to your next page, Now we're down, between 4th and 5th Street, and you'll see on 5th Street, we're introducing another four-way stop. We'll see if Liz can get it to fit. Sorta. So we're introducing another four-way stop here. Again, 12-foot wide turn lane, 12-foot wide travel lanes, and the buffers in the bicycle lanes vary just a little bit because that right-of-way and your face of curb vary so much on either side of the road. But we're trying to keep it, the travel lanes as consistent as possible. Again, we're proposing, the four-way continental striping crossings for pedestrians there as well. As we move along down past 5th Street, up to 6th Street, this will remain the 2 stop signs along 6th Street. There will be no stops on 6th Street on Central, but we're actually striping a crossing. There's an existing push request to cross for pedestrians there, and we're going to stripe that with the Continental crossbars. We really want pedestrians to cross there instead of going down because there's kind of a vision issue with that hump right there in the road. So we want to make sure that they're crossing in the safest spot, and that's why there's not 4 crossings right there. Again, we're continuing on, and you'll see toward the end of this, right as we get close to the driveway at Myrtle Lane Inn, you'll see that buffer zone on the west side of the road, so Plan North, is eliminated there, and that's just because that's where improvements are starting to encroach in that right-of-way, and we really don't want to, that's where the sidewalk goes away.
Right here.
Yeah, well, actually down there.
Oh, we're still down.
Yeah, so right down by past Colleen, the garden center, right about the garden center is when the sidewalk, existing sidewalk disappears, and now you're walking on the shoulder. And so to remedy that, we want to move that bike lane, the far fog line out, so it creates an actual pedestrian walkway, and then have the bike lane right next to it. So it eliminates that buffer zone between the bike lane and the vehicular travel lane. If you can see that kind of where that note C is on your plan. Okay, and then if we turn to the next page, again, it shows in note A, it kind of shows Myrtle Lane again, and that bike lane being eliminated. And then now this is right outside, City Hall, and where that, I don't know what we would call that island in the middle of the road.
Bump out, the big
The
bump
bump
out.
out, yes. So what we're proposing, because we know that can't go away, and we really wanted to prevent we didn't want to regrind all of the existing striping because that would cost a lot of money. So we're trying to maintain the existing striping of that center turn lane as much as possible. So that being said, you'll see that the travel lane's now neck down. The turn lane remains at 12 feet wide, but the travel lane's neck down to 11 feet, which allows for that 8-foot, the bike lane on City Hall side goes from a 6-foot to an 8-foot, and then slowly gets wider as we get closer to downtown. But you'll see that then that bump out, we're proposing adding a ramp so the bicycles would go up onto that and then back down. That would create a shared path that's wide enough to have a shared path with pedestrians. It's plenty wide to do that. So a minimal expense of adding a curb cut and those ramps for bicyclists to kind of utilize that. And then as we continue to travel down toward 10th Street, and we go to the next page, you'll see that we're proposing that the bike lane starts to merge right at the existing driveway area. What is that? Right past the residences, there's it used to be like a hair.
Used to be a clinic, used to be a Pacific Hospice.
It used to be a hair salon there when I was growing up here.
Right next to the old Lutheran church.
Yes. So right in there, the sidewalk actually ends and it merges into like an asphalt driveway area. And then there is no sidewalk for a while. And so we're proposing that the bicycle lane on the plan south side, so the bottom of your drawing, merges into traffic right into this area. Or at that location, they also have the opportunity, if they felt more comfortable, to get up onto the existing sidewalk. So right past, if you look at if you look at your drawing, you'll see kind of right past that big asphalt where it says feature back a sidewalk, and then there's a car. Kind of right in there, you can see a power pole shadow. Right about in there is where the sidewalk starts again. So they have ample opportunity to either merge in with the traffic or get up on the existing sidewalk. Here is going to be a slight shift in that left turn lane at 10th Street. That's so that we can maintain a buffer between, so it's a 14.5-foot wide travel lane here, so that to accommodate bicycles along 10th, and then an 11-foot wide turn lane, 11-foot wide travel lane, and a 6-foot wide bike lane, which is the minimum width that we can have. We have selected to do this because we understand that where the existing right-of-way is where these residents out here have, like a landscape retaining wall, and then they utilize that shoulder as off-street parking or on-street parking for their vehicles, and we don't want to impede upon that. In our future plans at the streetscape, we're actually making some improvements there and some street lights that will enhance that parking, but we want to make sure that our multi-use path will fit in with future plans, and that's why there's a bike lane there. So, that being said, what questions do you have for me?
Question and comments, and Liz, if you can go back to the very first image. If I remember right, on 3rd Street, I think we talked about designing significant bump outs so that it shortens the walking distance and the pedestrians are further out, so they're still going to be hidden by the cars parked in front of the Myrtle Vet Hospital. So I think we talked about maybe designing some of the bump outs, walkways there. Is that?
Yeah, in the original streetscape plan, there will be bump outs at that intersection.
Yeah.
Correct.
So what I'm saying is if this is something we move forward with in the URA, this is a URA project, that one corner is worth making sure those bump outs are in, because that is by far the most unsafe corner.
I hear what you're saying. However, to keep costs low in this initial striping phase, we're just proposing restriping and adding stop signs. No other improvements will be made. Additional signage, but no other improvements to be made at this time. That includes those requests to walk, the rapid push button pedestrian signs as well, because that requires power upgrades and things like that, and we want to do all of that in one fell swoop as we make those improvements along Central.
How does, without the bump outs, and I understand costs because we have the other projects with URA, but how do cars, it's hard enough for some of our own citizens to get used to traffic changes. How do they see the stop signs when it's buried behind parked cars in front of Myrtle Vet Hospital?
We will take a closer look at what that last parking, it's probably angled parking, and I think that you can kind of see it. It should be back, I think it's 20 feet. Is the recommended distance, and it's angled, so it should be back far enough where you'd be able to see that. But that being said, we'll look at that before we have final plans. You think it's 12 feet?
I don't think it's 20.
I'll make a note of that.
Mr. Mayor, I think it's also common, and we could look into this, for putting out temporary signs too. Sometimes traffic revision ahead, maybe even if we end up borrowing those from, either ODOT or a neighboring community, if we don't have them, I think that would be a good idea.
Do you know what kind of product are we looking to put down? I heard you say the county.
That's a Mr. Denning question.
The county, I think, only has the ability to put down paint. I don't think, so if you go down to Port Orford, that's a classic ODOT road diet A. It's on the ground in Port Orford. They spent a little bit more money and they went with the DuraStripe. So DuraStripe, it's not only just a little raised, so here, as you guys know, it rains, right? So the DuraStripe will set just a little bit above the actual pavement, so that way when it's pouring down rain and it's monsooning, when it does it here, your refrac from the striping is a lot better, it's a lot clearer. If you've ever driven a county road in the middle of the night and you just got glass bead down, what do you see? You don't see nothing. So DuraStripe has better qualities for our people to transverse our town in adverse weather conditions and at night as well. It also is, of course, a more durable product. And the cool part about that stuff, I don't know if anybody notices out on the highway, but we'll come through with a road sweeper or with a grader, and you can actually just kind of just rough that stuff up a little bit, and it brings it back to a little more vibrant. So we could take our road sweeper when it starts getting a little dingy, and you can actually sit and kind of scrub on that DuraStripe where paint, it stains, and then, in 3 years, it just doesn't look good, and it's not doing, what we want to. I don't know what the cost versus, I know a guy that could probably throw something together, a cost, and if it's something that we're interested into, but we're going to get more longevity out of the DuraStripe, and it's going to look better for a lot longer. And in my opinion, that's from what I've seen and what I've dealt with on the striping side. It's an option to look at.
Sounds like it's better on maintenance.
It is. It is. It's and then when you start looking at that, I don't know if we're going to paint or thermoplastic. Right now, thermoplastic is through the roof, which if you're not familiar with thermoplastic, it's the white stuff you see every once in a while. You'll see ODOT's big white truck, and it just stinks to high heaven, and they have you bound up in traffic. That's DuraStripe. A lot of the Legends, your Arrows, that stuff's DuraStripe. Pretty spendy.
My preference would be thermoplastic on the crossings. Of course.
Yeah.
The thing about crossings is they always get driven across.
They
right?
do.
They're
Constantly.
constantly, where the lane markers are only intermittently.
Yeah.
But we do have, we may even be using, does ODOT offers up that DuraStripe, right, as when they restripe in the...
They do, so I could get a hold of the striping manager here out of the region, and they'll do, so it's called a road diet.
Yeah.
There's one in Bandon, and then there's a different one down south in Port Orford. Then they did a different one, and so there's several different road diets that they'll apply. And then if you want DuraStripe thrown on that, then it's just, the cost of whatever it costs for them to come in and do the DuraStripe.
We take the best stuff that ODOT offers when they come through to restripe in here, but I don't know if they offer that up when they restripe.
Usually not, unless you ask for it. They're just going to give you what you got,
Right.
which is the cheapest way, which is paint.
Right.
And then it looks cool for about 6 months, and then you're driving down the road and everything just disappears because it's raining. And then you'll notice on the highway, you'll feel that DuraStripe, and that sticks up just enough to where when there's standing water on the road, it gives you a little bit more reflectivity to be able to see where it is that you're going. But I'm going to guess that that's what they do. But if you're going to go with a road diet, which is what you're seeing up here, is what we term it as. There's several different styles and widths and all that stuff, and they have all the plans for that. If you want me to have Steve get a hold of you and discuss that, I can give him your number, and you guys can. He's the striping manager out of the Roseburg office. Real very knowledgeable guy. I just don't want to see us put down something that we're not going to be happy with in a couple years.
No, totally agree. This is just presenting to URA, what the concept plan is moving forward, and then we'll work with Public Works on that next step, and then present to you again, our kind of final findings, whether that is quotes that Mr. Denning has collected for it, or something in before that happens.
And just to let council know too, and it's something I hadn't really thought of until we started talking about it more tonight, and that's further up the road. I hadn't been looking too closely, but I think this plan does impact one of the few spots that we do have some parking along Central, and I know, and it's all concentrated up here, so that's something we're going to be taking a close look at, but we may just come to the conclusion that, you know, we may be eliminating some street parking. You know, there's not much to begin with along there, but it could have some impact, but we'll make that very apparent to you.
And I for one, I can't stand this section of road. It drives me nuts when kids have to walk out around cars and pedestrians. And so, you know, this was always the plan anyways of the streetscape, and the reason we decided to go the striping plan is we knew Central was too far down the food chain for all the other improvements. So wanting to make sure we create a safe space for pedestrians and vehicles, especially now the school's not busing kids in our city, so we have a lot more youth and kids walking Central now, along with a lot of walkers and runners.
And we will, I'll work with Haley and Mark on getting what the plan is from 6th to 10th as well, so we can make sure, like, when the grant for that Safe Routes to School does get accepted, I'm very optimistic about that, then this won't impact that whatsoever, that it works side by side.
Awesome. Thank you for all the work you've done for us.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it.
What do you need next from the URA? I mean, what's the next steps forward?
For this project?
Yeah.
I think that I'll get back with Mark in Public Works and his team, and in hopes that we get some feedback from, Paul Slater, the county roadmaster. We're going to work on different materials, kind of working up a quote, kind of soliciting some of that information so we can come prepared to let you know how much we think it's going to cost. So cost estimate, I think, is probably the next phase of this project. And, again, we're hoping to do this, Mark, correct me, but we're hoping to do this by fall.
Yeah, we want to try and get this done this year. You know. Certainly we want to address 3rd Street down there. If nothing else, we're just going to go put up a couple stop signs and run that through the safety committee, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's dangerous right now.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next item, a resolution amending the 2024-2025 fiscal year budget of the City of Coke Hill Urban Renewal Agency.
So great news, we got a grant. This is just to allow us to move or to receive those grant funds into the URA with a line item. And to balance it out, we added the $60,000 grant to the total expenditures in the URA budget. So this just kind of creates an incoming line and adds to the outgoing. So that's all this is doing.
I move to adopt resolution 02-2025 as presented by staff.
Is that enough reading of the title? Yeah. I'm going to second it.
All right, motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Question.
Sure.
In the explanation, it says that grant was going to be used to redevelop the property on Mill, but when you just gave your explanation, if I heard it right, it's just going into the general URA fund.
So it's receiving the grant to work on the real property located as like the RV lot.
Right.
And then it's going, because we are spending the money out of the general project line right now. If you want, we can create an expense line specific to it.
I just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page. Thank you.
Yes, yeah.
All right, any other questions? All right, so we have motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion passes. All right, next item is good to the order. Anybody have anything for that? Great. Hearing none, we will adjourn our meeting at 8:23.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a great evening. Safe week.